Hey, welcome back to the Cardsmiths, and as you can see, I have chopped off my flowing locks for a bit of a more clean-cut look, so new look on the channel and a new video today. So, today's video is actually just going to be taking a look at games that are going to be leaving my collection that I'm going to be trying to sell, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about why these games are leaving my collection, why I'm looking to sell them, and we'll explore what this list of games are. So there's actually quite a few here today. So yeah, in terms of selling games, I think it's nice to not have your collection grow too large. I think you just feel a little bit lighter, a bit less burdened down by all your possessions and games if you have a little bit less as opposed to too many kind of stacking up. And then I just feel a little bit better about adding new games to my collection that I'm excited to get because it's not just building and building and building. I'm kind of cycling through some of the older ones. Selling games is something that's pretty new to me personally. I got rid of or sold all my Flesh and Blood cards. I tried out the game. Determined it wasn't for me in terms of both the CCG distribution model and the gameplay, but yeah, got rid of those cards or sold the ones that I could. And yeah, now looking to sell some board games and just clear up some space and make room for some new ones and just feel a little bit less burdened down by my game collection. So let's have a look at what these games are today. So first up is Twilight Imperium 4th edition, so commonly known as TI4. And you might be asking me, Max, why are you selling Twilight Imperium 4th edition right during the middle of the 25th anniversary year of the game? And that's a great question. So the reason I'm actually just looking to sell TI4 is, primarily it's an extremely, primarily, no, I would say the main reason actually is that it's an extremely difficult game to table. It requires a lot of players. It takes a very long time to play, and that combination makes it very difficult to get to the table and actually play. I've had this game for not quite, but bordering on 2 years now, and I haven't gotten it to the table once. And yeah, I think a factor there is the COVID pandemic. But that being said, COVID notwithstanding, I'm not sure I would have gotten this to the table even without the pandemic. It requires a lot of players and then the long play time. Yeah, it's just a uniquely difficult combination to table the game. Now, the other reason, and honestly, I think I would sell this regardless, but this reason just makes it even more of a no-brainer for me to sell it, is that one of my friends owns this game. So the group that I would play this with, in all likelihood, would be that group in terms of finding the time and people actually living in my area currently. And yeah, so that would be the group I would play this with. And yeah, one of my friends owns it. So it's like, you know what, I don't need this copy. If I were to play this, we would play with his anyway. So yeah, that's really that. The game is extremely new. Like I said, I haven't used it once. A lot of the tokens actually aren't even punched out, and the dice are still in like their bag. So yeah, it's very new. I'm hoping I'll be able to get a pretty good price on this. Next up is Small World. More specifically, Small World Underground and Small World Realms, because Realms is compatible with both the original Small World and Underground. So I'm hoping I can sell these as a package with Underground and Realms. Now, I do love Small World, and Small World was one of the earlier games I played way back in the day now, actually, but in terms of getting myself deeper into this hobby, Small World was big for that. I absolutely love the original Small World. And that's a game I definitely couldn't bring myself to sell, and I would certainly still pull out and play to this day. I think it's a great game. It's a good introductory to like area control, but I don't even so much like using that term because the game stands on its own merits very well, and I would be happy to play that with really any group. So yeah, it's fun. The theme is awesome. It's light. Doesn't take too long to play. And but yeah, the thing is, I own the original Underground and Realms, and it's just like, first off, Realms, uh, again, a bunch of the tokens aren't even punched out. I've never used it. I don't really see myself using that. If I was going to whip out Small World to play, I'd be more than happy to just pull out my original. Same thing goes for Underground. I do have the tunnels, which connects the Underground to the up top, and that was super thematic. And I remember being extremely happy when I got those tunnels, and I thought that was the coolest thing, that I could combine the two and tunnel down into the Underground and get a mix of races. And the Underground ones, I believe, start underground, but then they can rise up. And thematically, that was just really extremely cool. But it's like, the reality is I don't really need both now. I really only need the original Small World in my collection. So that's why these ones are going. Great game, though. If you haven't played Small World and you're into sort of lighter area control type board games, I recommend checking it out, because I really do think it's a classic in the genre. Now, Arkham Horror. So I have a couple original core sets. One of them still in the shrink, as you can see. And then the Forgotten Age Deluxe expansion, along with the entire Forgotten Age cycle of packs, and the Stella Clark Investigator deck. So if you watched my What's in the Box video, I showed off that I got the new revised core set for Arkham. And I got it for an excellent price as well. So it was really a no-brainer for me. I'll try to sell these. I would rather just have the one box for the core set. It has a better storage insert to keep all the cards. It has some quality of life improvements in terms of tokens. So I'm very happy to have the revised core set. Don't need these originals now. I'm also going to sell the Forgotten Age campaign because I'm looking to do some Arkham on the channel. We'll see if I actually get around to that. But I would play through the core set campaign, and then also I have the Curse of the Rugaru and the Carnivale of Horrors, which are the original, or the first two products released for Arkham beyond the original core set. So I don't really need anything else to play those, I don't think. So yeah, I can always pick up. Forgotten Age I actually bought just because the theme appealed to me most of any campaign, and it still does. I think the theme here is extremely cool, but they're doing the whole repackaging of the campaigns and with the investigator expansions as well. So honestly, by the time I would get around to playing this anyway, that might be out. So I would kind of rather just have the whole big campaign expansion to keep all the Forgotten Age cards if I do end up getting that back, which I think I will, because I think this campaign sounds really cool. The Stella Clark Investigator deck, I just don't really need it. Doesn't really fit into my plans on the channel, and I just don't really think it's something I need to have right now. Next up is Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn. So this isn't the Ashes Reborn with the black box. If you're familiar with Ashes, you'll know what I'm talking about. But this is the original version. Ashes is a head-to-head two-player competitive card game. It's an expandable card game. It follows the LCG-type distribution model. And it's from Plaid Hat Games. The reality with Ashes is that I don't like it as much as all the other card games I have. And, you know, obviously we don't have unlimited time, so if I'm whipping out a two-player competitive card game to play, I would simply rather play something else. The whole theme of Ashes doesn't really draw me in as much as many of the FFG LCGs or some of the like 7C coming from Pine Box or World Breakers. So it's just yeah, the theme doesn't really draw me in as much, and mechanically it honestly doesn't either. I generally speaking prefer games that either you're attacking a location or an objective, like Legend of the Five Ring, you're attacking your opponent's provinces, or Star Wars, you're attacking their objectives. Netrunner is just a completely unique game, and yeah, Netrunner kind of stands on its own there, but yeah, whereas Ashes, it's really you're just attacking your opponent's Phoenixborn or their like conjurations or allies that they've brought in, and it also doesn't have the movement that a Doomtown or a 7C has, so it just mechanically it doesn't interest me as much either. And yeah, that's why I'm looking to sell Ashes. So then I just have a couple other games here. If you have been following our channel along right from the very beginning, this Flick 'em Up, The Dead of Winter, you'll perhaps have seen our unboxing for it. And this was a game we got given as a gift by one of our local game stores, as they had made numerous errors on a number of our orders. So they're like, okay, here you go. Here's a little gift courtesy of us. And we unboxed it. The reality is, I just don't see this being a game that's going to be hitting the table. It seems fine, but kind of like what I was talking about Ashes, there's just a lot of other games I would rather play, and I don't have a ton. Well, yeah, I don't have unlimited time to play games, and obviously I'm going to continue to get busier and busier, I imagine, with things going on. So this just isn't something I see hitting the table, and I'm perfectly fine selling it. The other thing here is Siege, Heart of Darkness. It's AEG L5R, so quote old 5R. But yeah, I picked this up. I saw, I believe he changed his channel name. I think it's Legendary Card Games now. We follow the channel on YouTube. It's in our follow channels. I believe it's Legendary Card Games. But yeah, I saw him unbox it on his channel, and yeah, like, I thought it looked really cool. This was also before Under Fu Lang's Shadow was announced, so before there was any kind of like 3v1 L5R for the like new 5R, FFG L5R, the LCG. So I was like, oh, this is super cool. It's multiplayer. It's that like one very powerful player playing, like in this case, the Dark Naga against like 2 to 3 other players, I believe. And I'm like, oh, this just looks super cool. The art's incredible. I love the tiger that's on a card, I believe, and I love that style of art. Here they have like, I don't know if it's like an ox or something, but I absolutely love that style of art. I think that's so good. And even just looking at that, it's like, oh man, do I want to sell this? But it's like, okay, the reality is I'm not going to play this. I don't actually even know the rules for AEG era L5R, and I have Under Fu Lang's Shadow, so if I were to table any kind of big multiplayer L5R, it would either be Clan War, Enlightenment, 2v2, or Under Fu Lang's Shadow, like the competitive challenge deck. So the reality is I just don't need this, and I don't see it getting played either. So, and then lastly here is Munchkin Cthulhu. We have a lot of editions of Munchkin, and honestly, at this point, I think it's safe to say too many. So Munchkin Cthulhu is just the one I'm least attached to. Munchkin is actually a game that was really a big part of us getting deeper into the hobby, and card games in particular. So we used to play a ton of Munchkin. Like, you have no idea how much Munchkin was getting played. So yeah, definitely a fond place in my heart, Munchkin, in terms of that. But it's not a game I have tabled within probably about 2.5 years now. So it's, you know what, I'm not attached to the Cthulhu one in any way. I'm fully happy to move on from that one. So yeah, bunch of games here. That's why these ones I'm looking to sell and have them leave my collection. And yeah, just leave your thoughts. If you've played any of these games, let me know what you think. Arkham being a bit of a caveat, given the sense that I just picked up the revised course. So yeah, this stuff is leaving, but still have full intentions to be playing a fair amount of Arkham. So, and yeah, keeping the original Small World as well. Would definitely be happy to still table that. And you know what? I would still love to get a game of Twilight TI4 in. I mean, it looks absolutely epic. And if we're ever, that play group I was talking about, if we're ever able to find, managing a whole bunch of different adult schedules is not the easiest thing to do, obviously, but if we're able to find a day where we can table that and just have an epic sprawling space opera, I think that would be pretty awesome. So, and you know, if that ever happens, maybe I'll try to give some kind of little report or give my thoughts on it, because that's obviously a very epic game, and I'm even curious just what I would think of it. So yeah, that's the games that I'm looking to sell. All right, well, that wraps up the video, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.